I'd like to thank the distinguished chairman and my good friend from Massachusetts for yielding me the customary 30 minutes, and I yield myself as much time as I may consume. Madam Speaker, the rule before us today provides for consideration of H.R. 8393, the Puerto Rico Status Act. This is a bill that received an emergency rules hearing yesterday with just 3 hours notice. 3 hours for an issue that deserves to be heard through regular order. H.R. 8393 would authorize a federally sponsored, taxpayer-funded election to be held in Puerto Rico on 5 November 2023. This election would require the voters of Puerto Rico to choose between 3 status options: independence, sovereignty and free association, or U.S. statehood. You might notice something missing here. This bill doesn't even give Puerto Ricans the option to preserve their current status as a territory of the United States. So not only do House Democrats want to control how the states run their elections, they now want to control how Puerto Rico runs their elections. H.R. 8393 even takes things a step further than that. If Puerto Ricans vote to become a sovereign or independent nation, this legislation tells them what they have to include in their new constitution, how they have to ratify their constitution, and how elections for government officers should take place. And my friends across the aisle want to talk about colonial power. What's that sound like? Further, this bill would completely circumvent congressional authority by not allowing Congress to ratify the option that Puerto Rico ultimately chooses. The question of Puerto Rico statehood is a serious topic, one that I'm not necessarily opposed to, but it's a topic that deserves a deliberative process with careful consideration and expert input. There have been numerous hearings on this issue, but there were no hearings on this specific bill. There's been no vetting of legal implications of using this unprecedented self-executing process to statehood. This is not a question that should be ran through a lame duck Congress on the last day of a scheduled session with less than 24 hours notice. That's unacceptable. And I'm not debating the merits of Puerto Rican statehood, but I am pointing out the glaring problems in this ill-conceived, half-baked legislation that leaves too many questions unanswered. House Democrats are doing nothing more today than using Puerto Ricans as pawns to score cheap political points with a bill that has zero chance of becoming law. Let's just be frank and honest about that. This bill has zero chance of becoming law this session of Congress. It's a joke that we're even considering it today. We owe it to the voters of Puerto Rico to do better than this. They deserve more. I urge my colleagues to oppose this rule, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman of Massachusetts recognized.
So, Madam